So hey guys, I've been watching this guy on YouTube. His name is the Chronicles of Judah, and he incessantly states some very interesting things. And those things are, or at least a few of these things are, figure out where you're coming from, so that way you can know where you're going. Also, that not all African Americans are from West Africa. Some of us have already been here. We're already in America prior to slavery, and also some of us come from Europe where they kicked us out. So initially, I could find a lot of information on blacks already being here in America, and I have found a thing that's kind of eye opening when it comes to the blacks from Europe. And before I continue this, I have to make a disclaimer that slavery did happen, 100% did happen, and it was a horrendous act. The only thing is that I'm questioning is where exactly did we come from, and which kind of leads me to why exactly would they lie about that, and I'm going to leave that up to your own interpretation. As far as that, so let's jump into it. Let's talk about the Africans, those of African descent that were already here prior to slavery. So here's an image from America. It's from a book called An Accurate Depiction of America. Here's the name of it down here. It's a Dutch book. I'm sorry, it's not Dutch. It's a German book. It's a book written by a German named Arnodeus Montoyas. So, as we can see here clearly in this image, let me back out of it real quick. Excuse me. Clearly, we can see in this image at least three black people, or at least four. I'm sorry, four people, four black people. So there's there, and here is a black woman, what appears to be a black woman, standing on top of two white men. And these two is what we would consider what we see nowadays, which is the Mongoloid or the fairer skinned Native Americans. And here is the darker Native Americans, which appear to be outnumbering some of them, because there's a couple in the background too. There's a couple right here. So that's one image that he's drawn. Here's another image from Montoyas's book. His first book, which is an accurate depiction of America. And as we can see, just even by the hair, it's like it's just too spot on right here. And this guy right here, John Ogilvy, he was a translator in England. So what he did was he translated it and then put his name on it, even though it's really Amadeus Montoya's. Well, I guess he was he didn't. No, yeah, Amadeus Montoya's his book. So he just put that on there, put his name on it. So there's another one. So the thing about Amadeus Montoya's, and here's the last image that I wanted to show you right here. This is from his third book, or his second book rather, early descriptions of New Netherland, and clearly we can see a so-called black man and a so-called black woman right here. Clearly, just by the hair of the black man, you can see that clearly. The thing about Amadeus Montoyos is, if you look him up, he has some crazy stories, or crazy pictures, and also in the book he describes them. He would describe seeing unicorns and dragons and sea monsters and everything. So he's not that credible of a source. But let's not rule him out. He still is a famous explorer. But on this page of called New Netherland Institute, which is exploring America's Dutch history, there is a very interesting statement made from Henry Hudson, which we all know for the Hudson River, Hudson Bridge, etc. I don't trust this website at all. So I went and checked out the actual narrative of where this came from, and it's in Narratives of the New Netherlands, written in 1609. to 1664. And this is what, and it's written by John Jameson, who was just an author back then. He was talking about the new land and how it was, explorer / author. So he took an excerpt from Henry Hudson's letters, which was quote unquote lost, allegedly lost. But he took some quotes from good old Hendrik Hudson right there. So let's see what Henry says. He describes to us the manners and appearance of the people that he found dwelling immediately within this bay in the following terms. When I came ashore, the swarthy natives all stood and sang their fashion. Their clothes consist of the skins of foxes and other animals, which they dress and make the garments from skins of various sorts. So I don't need to really continue to read this, because really it's all right here in this first paragraph, this word swarthy. And this is what I think personally is that the way that they can keep secrets away from us is just by changing the definition of the word. So this word swarthy has not changed, but so let's go ahead and take a look at it. Swarthy means dark skinned. So if they weren't black, the word that's used to describe lighter skinned people back then was called Tarndine. So he considered them black, dark skinned people, probably my complexion because I'm a dark skinned guy. So let's keep it going. So this is Henry Hudson. This is a credible source. So we have one source that's not so credible, and we have one source that is credible. So let's keep a tally of that. So here's another guy, Giovanni Vanzano. He is an Italian explorer, and what he did for King Francis I was he went and he explored from, I want to say, Connecticut all the way down to Cape Fear, North Carolina. And we are going to be starting at the fifth paragraph, right down here as the description of what he gives for the Native Americans that he saw in North Carolina. So here we go. They go completely naked except for around their loins. They wear skins of small animals like martens, with a narrow belt of grass around the body, to which they tie various tails of animals which hang down to their knees. The rest of their body is bare, and so is the head. Some of them wear garlands of birds' feathers. They are dark in color, there you go, unlike the Ethiopians, with thick black hair, not very long. So while Montoyos is not all that credible of a source, there is some images. Here you go right here. And if you actually zoom in, let me zoom in real quick. If you zoom into this guy, he has a little ponytail right there. And yet again, they're dark in color. But still, like I said, I still don't want... some of his images are just too crazy for me to believe. But he's a very credible... Giovanni Vanzano is a very credible source, because there is a bridge named after him up in New York, and he is one of the world's most known explorers. Here he is right here, exploring and stuff. So, and his letter, his letter was written to, like I said, King Francis the First, King of France, July 8th, 1524, which predates everything that I've showed you so thus far. So there's two people now, Henry Hudson and Giovanni, two very credible sources here. So let's keep it going. And this is I think I kind of beat the topic of, there was black people here prior to slavery, kind of with a dead horse, but I'm going to kind of reaffirm it with this next letter from Ben Franklin. And also we're going to start looking into the so-called black people, the black people that were in Europe at the time when they got kicked out. So This article is in the Washington Post. The founding fathers trash immigrants. It's basically, the article is supposed to make a description or make a description of how the founding fathers weren't so partial to immigrants as we are today. They're essentially the same thing. Nothing really changed. That's what it is. But I think they missed something very interesting here. The original essay is called Observations Concerning the Increase of Mankind, Peopling of Countries. Benjamin Franklin wrote this in 1751, and then actually got it published in Gentleman's Magazine in 1755. And I know this is a Wikipedia article, so if you want to go and check this out, it's in the Philadelphia Inquirer, tracing evolution to founding grandfather. So if you want to find it, and even here it talks about controversial paragraphs, which is just crazy. And by the way, Benjamin Franklin was something else, man. He definitely was a pederast, but still very credible in our eyes. So let's keep it moving. I'm going to start right here at the second paragraph. Okay. First, here's Benjamin Franklin in 1751 referring to Swedes, French, and other Europeans as insufficiently white and expressing his growing annoyance at the German migration boom. So this is what he says. Why should the Palatine Boers, the word Palatine actually means quasi-royal here. And I believe I deleted that tab. So, but let's just keep it going. And Boers means peasants. So he's saying they're royal peasants, essentially. This is very interesting for somebody to say. That's an oxymoron there, old Ben. Why should the Palatine Boers be suffered to swarm onto our settlements and be herding together, establish their language and manners to the exclusion of ours? Why should Pennsylvania, founded by the English, become a colony of aliens, who will shortly be so numerous as to Germanize us instead of our Anglifying them? That sounds like xenophobia right there, is what we're going through kind of right now today. But let's keep it moving. And we'll never learn to adapt our language or customs any more than we can acquire their complexion. So what is he talking about, their complexion? This is very interesting right here. Very interesting. Complexion. So let's take a look. Let's remember he's talking about Swedish people and French people. French people can tan. He's talking about other Europeans outside of England. So Swedish people and French people. French people can tan, but the Swedish and Germans, they're relatively pale. At least the ones that I know. So let's keep going. Let's keep it going. Which leads me to add one remark, that the number of purely white people in the world is proportionally very small. All Africa is black or tardy. So tardy, which is the word means of orange, brown, or yellowish in color. And this is kind of something. And if you go to etymology.com, which is, for those who don't know, etymology is the history of words, the study of words, the history of words. If you look at this, it's tan in color from Anglo-French tanti, or of or like brownish yellow of tanned leather, from the Old French tanti, dark brown. So there he is right there. So dark brown. So this would be like these people at the time would be considered somebody that's brown skin, like brown skin in color, all the way up to like a Steph Curry in color. And this kind of brings me to a point that I believe the way that they're hiding our secrets is that they're hiding it right under their noses just by changing the definitions of words. I mean, yellow is brown and orange is brown. I mean, it says here dark brown. The word change, Old French, it comes from the word dark brown. So all right, let's go back to the article and keep it going. Which leads me to add one remark. The number of purely white people in the world is proportionally very small. All Africa is black or tardy. Asia is chiefly tardy. which could be, like I said, orangish or yellowish. America exclusively of the newcomer's holy soul. Let me read that again. America, let's read the whole thing again. All Africa is black or tarny. Asia, chiefly tarny. America, exclusively of the newcomers, wholly so. Okay, let's keep it going. And in Europe, the Spaniards, Italians, French, Russians, and Swedes are generally of what we call swarthy complexion. And there you go again with that name, swarthy. Why would he consider Russians, Swedes, Russians, and Swedes the whitest of white people on the face of the earth? They take a step outside and they get sunburned as dark-skinned people. That makes no sense. As are the Germans also. Yet again, he named the Germans, saying that they're dark skin. That makes no sense. The Saxons only accept who, with the English, make up the principal body of white people on the face of the earth. I wish their numbers would increase. And while we are, as I may call it, scoring our planet by clearing America of woods, clearing America of woods, to make and so making the side of our globe to reflect a brighter light to the eyes of the inhabitants of Mars or Venus. So essentially what he's saying is something crazy. He's just saying, like, they're trying to make the world whiter. That's what he's trying to say. They're trying to make the world whiter. So why should we, in sight of being superior beings, darken its people? So this is pretty racist right there. Why increase the sun of Africa by planting them in America? This is an anti-slavery statement, along with just being straight up racist. Where we have such a fair opportunity, by excluding all blacks and tarnies, of increasing our lovely white and red complexion. So essentially right here, we was talking about the woods. He was talking about getting rid of all the black people, or darker skinned people, in America. This is what he was talking about. But perhaps I am partial to my complexion of my country, for such kind of partiality is natural to mankind. So what he's saying is, like, this is very interesting. This is a very interesting article, and I kind of want you guys' opinion on it. Yet again, if you don't believe the Washington Post because of fake news, the actual article is called "The Observations Concerning the Increase of Mankind and People in Young Countries." Remember, the original article could be found, or a better article could be found, tracing the evolution to our grandfather, to a founding grandfather, in the Philadelphia Inquirer. So what I believe is that there definitely was a lot of people of African descent or of dark skin in Europe, and they got kicked out because in 1961, the Queen of Elizabeth I kicked out a lot of English, or kicked out a lot of Moors out of the country and sent them to Portugal and Spain. And hey, they didn't have to stay there. This is 100 years after that happened. So maybe that's what it is, or maybe they were always just there, you know. But it's pretty clear as day to me that there's a lot of Native Americans. Whatever happened to these people that were dark skinned, whatever happened to these people, I think it had to do with, just selective breeding, like getting the pigment out of their skin, always choosing lighter skinned people. So there definitely is, though. Definitely is right here. Right here. We were already here. And that's all I really have to say. I just want you guys to think about that and, tell me what you think. All right, y'all. Peace.